The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Welcome to DIYSim.com, your source for your entire do-it-yourself simulator building experience. Whether your goal is to build a full-motion flight simulation cockpit with all 6 degrees of freedom, or find plans to build a full-motion racing simulation cockpit with anywhere from 1 degree of freedom all the way up to 6, DIY Sim has the products, plans, and resources to help you make it happen. Our DIY Sim brand is backed by one of the most innovative sim building organizations in the world. Simcraft creates driver, in-the-loop simulators with proper kinetics for motion simulation, a technology that is unique to Simcraft and which accurately recreates high-speed vehicle dynamics. Simcraft simulator systems enable drivers to develop and enhance their car control skills efficiently and effectively, any track, any car, any day, all day. DIYSim.com has it all. Please start and finish your sim building experiences with us.
Welcome to Circuit of the Americas, home of the final round in the DIYSim.com Z4 Challenge, and you're watching it live on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Your host, Joe Peak. With me in the booth tonight is Brian Corwin and Bill Zahn. As always, our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard and are directed by Kevin Brown. CotA, as it's more commonly known, is still a relatively new circuit here in the States, but it's already endeared itself to both drivers and fans with its variety of challenges and fantastic racing. To tell us more about the track, let's go to Brian.
Well, today's track is 3.427 miles long, or 5.515 kilometers. It's 20 turns, very challenging with the very tricky elevation changes, hairpins, and increasingly long braking zones. And of course, today's race is 45 minutes, Joe, so it's going to be a very intense one at that.
Absolutely, always gives guys a real challenge. However, we do need to talk about the championship, and obviously with it being the last round, Bill, this is for all the marbles now.
Well, Joe, I'm going to spare the viewers any ridiculous analogies today. We're just going to keep it simple with the points here. Wyatt Gooden's up by 57 points with one race to go. I think if he can actually grid, I think he's the champion. We'll double check that as it goes along. Now, Leandro Schmitz, 57 points back. Alex Bilao is 79 points back. Those guys are both from Brazil. Craig McKenzie is just a steady. I'm not going to use the Gilligan analogy, so I'm just going to. Let's just keep it straight. He's been very consistent, and Joseph Anderson rounds out the top 5, 103 points back. Now, a couple names you don't see on the chart there. Kyle Potts is only 2 points back of Joseph Anderson. And Eminem Matt Malone is within striking distance, about 15 back of the top 5. And a guy to keep an eye on, we'll go one more deep, Kevin Vaughn has missed a few races, but boy, he's been very competitive. He's sitting in 8th place right now. Let's throw it back to you, Joe.
Well, we're watching qualifying at the moment. They've just recently started that, and these are some long laps around here, especially in these GT3 cars. So let's go to the lap guide and show what it's like on board. All right, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Circuit of the Americas. Turn 1 is known for this incredible uphill braking zone. Really, you can't see that sharp little apex curve until you've already started turning in, so picking all your markers is critical. Then we head back downhill into 2, which will be flat out. This leads us into the start of the S's. This series of corners makes all other road course S sections look like a quick trip down the block. Back and forth, 7 separate corners, and really you could claim 8 since this one has 2 apexes. In the end, it all comes back uphill to turn 9, where you want to hug the right as much as you can, and once you've got the angle, put your foot down and power over the top. 10's a quick left flick that you've got to hit just right, or else you're flying wide or losing time. Plus, the hairpin of 11 is a good place to sneak a pass in. But if it was me, I'd be more concerned about getting a nice wide entry and getting on the gas for the backstretch. This straightaway is going to give you a long time to think about what you've just done. If you nailed it, you can smile and take a breather. If you botched it, keep an eye on the mirror and decide if it's worth defending, because that trailing car is going to be all over you like Kevin on a piece of Gators memorabilia. 12 is really your best place to get by somebody. Sharp corner and a heavy braking zone at the end of a long stretch. Doesn't get much more Tilk design than that. From here, it's all fiddly hairpins and technical corners. Cars are going to be line astern unless someone makes a mistake, which is actually terribly easy. Going wide or the rear coming around from entering too hot are both common sights. And then here with 16, 17, and 18, it just never feels like you hit the corner in the best way. They've marked it as 3 separate ones, but it's just a big, long arc. Regardless, you gotta get the car to the right because 19 drops off something fierce, and even drivers at the highest skill level tend to push wide. From there, the final corner is another slow one that requires the slow in, fast out mantra. If you can out-drag your competitor, it sets you up well for a pass into one. But that's how you complete a lap around Circuit of the Americas. Well, that lap certainly was done on a sunny day. Very stark contrast to what we've got here with it only being about 67 degrees out, and they've got a bit of wind out there as well. But let's talk about some of the prizes before we carry on about the weather. Obviously, last week, Wyatt Gooden got $15 for winning first from DIYSim.com. Alex Bilal Schmidt, it does not exist. Alex Bilal got $10 for second, and Leandra Schmidt got $5 for third. Lee McGovern won $5 for the Lucky Dog. John Kelly got $2 for the Hard Charger, going, actually I don't have the stats on where he started and finished, but he obviously gained most places from the start. And then Lance Snyder got $2 for the Clean and Mean Award for having the fewest incidents of all the drivers. As we were saying earlier, or at least Bill mentioned, Wyatt Gooden only needs 8 points to take the championship off of Leandro Schmidt's hands. That's not going to be too difficult of a task today. As I watch the time start to file in, Leandro actually currently sitting second, and I don't see Wyatt with a time up there yet, although I might not have spotted his name. But the other things that we need to talk about will be some of the more difficult turns on this track, Brian. It definitely has some tricky ones throughout.
Yeah, and I don't have a map up in front of me right now, Joe, but there is a bunch of very technical sections where it's really easy to go wide and damage your car. There's a few ups and downs in the racing surface, particularly going into turn 1. It's up that very steep, long hill. To get your braking bias and your braking point just right is the only way to take that turn. If you go any other way, you're going to be locking them up and going straight on into the runoff area. Now, the track does have very forgiving surfaces that are very wide here, so there is chances to save the car if you have a nasty spin or contact with another car. But unfortunately, on the turn side of that, each of the corners have these big, huge, like landmine size cement blocks that keep you off the corners, so it's very easy to hit those and ruin your day. Either way, this track's all about consistency and concentration, and if you have neither of those going for you, you're going to have a rough day at the track.
Now, Bill, this track kind of reminds me a bit in a way of one that they raced earlier in the season at Spa, and that with all that paved runoff, I imagine we're going to see a few guys possibly run afoul of that 17 incident point limit.
Well, you know, we have to remember, when you look at the incident points, we ran through them earlier, Leandro Schmidt actually had a disqualification at Spa, and that probably cost him 25, 30 points maybe. So he'd be a lot closer in the standings. Wyatt Gooden will still be dominant, and I see Wyatt's at the top of the charts now on qualifying. You know, if Gooden doesn't win the championship here, it'd be the biggest injustice since the Vatican imprisoned Galileo. So I think we're going to be in good shape here with Gooden. He's looked like he's at the top. Real quick, also, the first 5 races or so, it's really been a wire thing for Gooden. But since where were we at? Road America, and since Daytona, and then our last race, Gooden has actually been challenged a little bit. So we might be looking at a little bit of some excitement here today.
Well, he'll definitely have to be kept in check with the draft down that backstretch. If they can keep hold of him on the technical portions, then they're going to get opportunities. Could be similar to what we saw at Interlagos, where he was challenged by Bilal continuously simply because the draft made it difficult to shake that driver. but you continue to amaze me, Bill. I know in the past we've said that we kind of stay away from religion on broadcast, but you managed to pull one that I don't think anybody can attempt to.
Galileo reference. You never know where
Yeah,
I'm going.
there we go.
You know, to touch base on Gooden, he is so technically great that he has such great corner exits on the important. Here we're looking at like what would it be? Turn 12, I guess, would be one or turn 11. He's going to be so good. He gets such good bite off of these exits that lead onto the straightaway. It's so hard for these guys, even if there's a draft, for them to be close enough to get a run on him down the straight.
Yeah, so and that's where it really is going to come into it with some of these slower corners is the exits, Brian, getting the power down. They don't have the they have the excuse me. I just had
control.
Yes,
Traction control.
thank you. Traction control. I'm sorry, it's been a hard day for me. They have the traction control, but it's at the minimal setting, Brian.
Yeah, and the GT3 car, having minimum traction control right there in itself is very difficult. These cars aren't really known for downforce, so they really have to work the throttle and the brake to get the right balance of power as well as traction going. I think the hardest parts of the track, in my opinion, is the complex between turns 4 up to turn 10. Like I said before, there's a lot of elevation changes, and then of course in turn 10 it's that kind of uphill kink that could really put you out if you get it wrong. Right there, it's easy to spin. It's a good place to get overtaken too if you get a bad run out of turn 10. So going down into turn 11, that's definitely where we're going to see a lot of passes before that long straight into turn 12, Joe.
Well, as qualifying continues on, and we watch Leonard there on the screen, Donnie Leonard, work his way around in the yellow and white car. We just about have everybody through. We've got just a few minutes left, but I see a couple cars on lap 4, so I'm going to let them complete, see if we get any surprises out there. Provisionally, though, Wyatt Gooden is on the pole, did manage to get his lap in, so it's looking like a very easy job for him today at the moment. And I have to ask, as usual, guys, who's your pick for today? Who's looking good?
Well, you know, Joe, I really like Alex Bilbao. I've been watching this series and behind the scenes off my little lazy boy chair with a beer in my hand for the last couple of weeks. And Alex has really impressed me with his driving style and his personality on the track. And as clean as this series is, I think he's one of the better drivers, and definitely today starting in second place with a 2:02. Pretty good lap time at Circuit of the Americas. I'm really looking forward to watching him race today.
Well, I'm gonna skip the obvious pick, and I'm gonna give Mark Zeidler one more chance at this now. If he can stay out of trouble, if he can not date Ginger, I can't help it. I went there again. If he can stay out of trouble, I think he might have enough to stay with Gooden and maybe slingshot him at the end.
Well, it looks like everybody has completed. You can see Donnie's still circulating, and now he heads on into the pits. Drivers are allowed to keep doing laps. They just don't count after the 4 that they are given in this solo qualifying. So let's go through the order. Wyatt Gooden is sitting on the pole. Alex Bilbao is in second. Mark Zeidler, Mr. Action, is coming in third. Leandro Schmidt, our championship contender, has got his work cut out for him, starting in fourth. Chris Damron Jr. begins in fifth. Kyle Potts sits in the third row in sixth. Daniel Santos starts in seventh. Matthew the Thrill Thill starts in eighth. Derek Waller starts in ninth. And then Donnie Leonard rounds out the top 10, Brian.
And then Logan Knapp picks it up at 11th. And 12th, we have Mark Robertson. And 13th, we have George Fike. And 14th, we have Matt Malone. And 15th, Craig McKenzie. 16th, Lee McGovern. And 17th is Joseph Anderson. 18th is Bruce Poole. And 19th is Lance Snyder. So it looks like a good field today, Joe.
Yes, only 19 cars, so not as large as it started out. But Bill, the talking points that I feel like could come into play today is these technical portions. If they catch up to any traffic, it's going to be very tough to let anybody by, let alone trying to get by them.
Yeah, well, that plays into the pit stop strategy. We talked about this last week, that if you're going to make a early pit stop, if you're going to go that road, you got to do it early. The problem is if you wait too long to make your pit stop, if you do it mid-section, then you're going to, when you come out, if you're a fast driver, you're going to come out right behind traffic. You're not going to be able to hot lap. So I really think you nailed it last week. It's either do it early and get that open track ahead of you before you catch up to the cars you're going to pass, or you got to wait to the very end. Hey, I don't want to say anybody's sandbagging for money here for the hard charge award, but Matt Ballone's in 14th. Come on, Matt, you can do better than that.
I know we heard. I can't remember if we were talking to Matt Thill and Scott Power earlier before the race, and one of them said that they were intending to start from the back. And yeah, it sounds like it was Scott who actually intends to start. It looks like he is going to start from the pit lane because I don't think he's put a lap in. It looks like, so that'll be interesting to see because Scott's a pretty decent driver himself, and it isn't a VSRA race without somebody coming from the back.
Scott did confess, though, that as a series manager, he wasn't eligible for the cash award.
This is true. So he'll give us some entertainment, that's for sure. We do have a few people that didn't put laps in but are showing up. I'm not sure if they are still here. It looks like Clint Myers did not put a lap in. He is going to start 21st. Scott Power starts 20th. John LaBaff, yes, he is here, and he is going to start in the 22nd position. And then Anderson Moda and Patrick Nguyen round out the field starting 23rd and 24th. So a few guys deciding might as well have some fun. It's the end of the season. You can see them lining up. It is going to be a rolling start. And we've seen in the past, Brian, that a rolling start is a skill these guys need to master.
Well, of course it is. Everyone's going the same speed until the acceleration zone takes off, and then it's chaos, especially here in the turn one. It's up that big, long hill. There's no real clear visual markers on the track except for a white line painted off to, I believe, the right side of the circuit. So once you get to that traffic and you're on someone's bumper, it's really hard to get your reference point for the braking zone, and that's where a lot of trouble, even in real life, we've seen in the Grand Am series and a few other series. That turn one's a very tricky place, and it's going to take a lot of patience to get around the first couple turns in the first sector here at Circuit of the Americas.
Well, not only that, I was thinking earlier, this is one of the cases where it actually does pay off to have a little bit of a better sim rig set up, because guys with triple screens will have more opportunity to be able to see into that corner, to be able to look to the side, spot their apex, see if there's any action going on too, and work their way around some of these very, very tight corners, Bill.
Yeah, and I think I need to go ahead and do my job here and mention the weather, because last week we kind of missed it, and the guys were talking about the hot weather. They were slipping around a lot. As the viewers can clearly see, it's overcast today. The winds are mild, and it's 67 degrees. I think these guys are going to be very sticky on the track. It's going to get lots of good traction for them.
Well, that'll pay off in some of those slow corners that they're going to get as the cars continue to line up there on the backstretch. Not going to send them through a full lap around here because that would take quite a while behind that pace car. But they're going to work their way around very soon here. And there, now it starts to take off, and we're going to get our green flag very soon and working their way through. Now, as you watch this thing, don't forget to give us a shout out on places like Twitter. We are on there at GSR channel. You can ask us questions during the race. We'll try our best. Usually there's a lot of action in the VSRA, so it might be tough to get to all of them if you do send us anything, but we'll try to keep an eye out if you have any questions for us at all. You can see Wyatt having some fun coming up next to the pace car there as they wind their way around this final section of the track. Also, we are on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing channel. Follow us there as well to get all the latest updates and find out when our next broadcasts are going to be. So as they work their way around, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, since these races are always very unpredictable in the series, Bill. But I'm with you. I think this is Wyatt's race. I'm pretty sure that he's going to get these points. We need some confirmation, hopefully, in a little bit to figure out if all he has to do is take the green flag here. But it's you can't. He's going to have a challenge like we've seen in recent weeks, but I don't think it's going to be difficult for him to take the championship home.
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot by the end of lap one. If Gooden has a 2-second lead, and he's broken the draft of the first lap, I think it's good night nurse, and they can call the maid in to make up the room, because he's going to have an early checkout. But we'll have to see if Bilal and Zeidler can stay with him. Here we go, Joe.
And we're getting the green flag now. There it goes. Wyatt Gooden takes off, and he gets a really good start with Alex Bilal trying to hunt him down. And in fact, Alex Bilal has dropped back as Mark Zeidler has slotted up into second as they break for this first turn. And Zeidler gets tipped around, he's recovered. He didn't completely spin, and everybody else seems to be clean. But once again, Mark Seidler is going to have to work his way through the field. He's moving very slowly as we watch the replay.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have another spin right after that, Joe. We'll come back after I get a little more information.
Well, they're working their way through these tricky S's now, and I think we're watching that replay. It looks like that original replay of Seidler once again as guys are working their way through single file. Very difficult to pass through this little technical section on their way up the hill, but they should be getting opportunities once they get to the backstretch. And man, Wyatt Goodenbill is just absolutely out in front already.
Yeah, he is Usain Bolt at the start. I'm telling you, he got it the first 500 yards. He had a 200-yard lead.
Yes, working his way down to the braking zone of the backstretch. Let's go back to Alex Balau and Chris Dameron Jr. Chris Dameron is challenging him for that second place position. He's got the inside line. It's going to be an out-braking challenge, and Dameron Jr. takes it clearly. Woo, just a little bit of a tip from Balau. I think that's the second car that Balau has tipped, actually, and now he's under threat from who is that next to him? That looks to be Leandro Schmidt, who is trying, but Schmidt has lost a position to Kyle Potts.
Yeah, there's Potts in third place, or actually fourth place now. Looks like he's better suited for this track than he was last week.
Yeah, he's definitely up there among the front and working his way through these guys up into third now behind Balau, or I'm sorry, in fourth actually. And Chris Dameron Jr. is actually interestingly starting to separate himself from this pack back next there. So Dameron Jr. Also separating himself as a serious contender today.
Yeah, Joe, real quick, I want to jump in and just finish up that report I had of the second spin. It was actually Matt Bill was alongside of another driver just coming out of the end of section 1, and I believe he did lose every position. He was able to go ahead and pass Clint Myers, and now he's working on Lance Snyder, but right now Matt Bill has definitely lost a lot of space, and actually I do believe in turn 20 I just saw another car spinning, so it looks like a lot of guys having difficulty staying off each other, as you said, on this narrow circuit, and it's definitely causing a lot of problems early on in this race.
Well, right now we are on board with Leandro Schmidt as he works in this front group here. That he is sitting in fourth place at the moment behind Kyle Potts. No, he's in fifth place behind Kyle Potts in fourth, who's behind Alex Balau in third. And look at him pop out. He's going to try and make a move coming on to this hairpin into the backstretch there. Very tight. Got the inside of Potts. Does Schmidt have it? No, it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch, Bill.
Yeah, so I just want to touch on Mark Seidler here just to put in something. He's back in 21st position now. He's making his way through the field again.
So we're going to get to see a repeat of Mid-Ohio, it seems, as Schmidt has the inside coming into this next left-hand corner as they try to outbrake each other. He stays alongside. Potts tries to hold on, but it looks like Schmidt has covered him off into this next little hairpin, and now it's a back and forth, slow last section of this circuit.
Yeah, and right now, excuse me, Joe, I believe we're on Leandro Schmidt. I'm not sure where we're at in the broadcast, but I did get a racing up to stay at him for the moment. Right now, he's looking very clean. However, as we come through the right-hander near turns 13 and 14, one of the more favorite stadium sections of the track, and it looks like the front of the field starting to get just a little bit of spacing, so these guys can start to breathe once again.
Yeah, everybody's starting to get their own little piece of track up front in this little group because they were certainly having a heated battle. And this is not the way that Leandro Schmidt wanted to start this thing, that's for sure. But he has at least got himself from fifth, or at least he was shuffled down into fifth and is now up back into fourth where he started, trying to get his way past Alex Balau, who's been in the wars a bit in these early laps.
Yeah, and Alex Balau is definitely working hard right now in third place. He is under attack from Leandro Schmidt, and he's really just doing everything he can to keep those tires cool, because this is such a heavy load on the tires in this part of the track, and it's really easy to get it wrong and lose everything that you've worked so hard for. So I think these guys are going to keep it a little bit conservative right now, but we're only on lap 3. We have a long ways to go before the end of this race, and it won't really benefit you now to have a spin or a collision with another car. And right now, as we can see Leandro definitely getting closer and closer, we might actually see a pass attempt here shortly. So right now, Alex Balau working very hard to keep that third position.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hold it much longer down this long straightaway because Schmidt is well within the draft, gets a decent launch out of that last corner. He's closing in. Is he going to take a look down into 12? He closes very fast and out. Actually, I think it was handed over. Bilal is slowing.
Ooh. Yeah, and it looked like Kyle Patz also looked on the inside, wasn't able to make it with that apex coming up so rapidly. That is a really easy place to spin if you get too much curb, so he did the right move there. Alex Blau did look like he did conceive that position, and now it looks like Leandro Schmidt's even pulling away a little bit, so I don't know if Alex has any issues with his car. Kyle Patz is definitely all over him now, as he looks like he has a lot more speed coming through these tighter corners. And of course, even farther back, I believe that is Daniel Santos is even making a run, so I think Alex Blau is actually in a little bit of trouble right now, Joe.
Well, keep in mind, Bilal and Schmidt are both Brazilians, and I'm not sure if there's any countryman camaraderie going on knowing that he's fighting for the championship, but I wonder if he let him by, because he definitely lifted on that straight.
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, and we got a spin in the background.
Donnie Leonard in the banana-flavored car has looped it around.
We were going to get a replay, but it looks like we're having a few technical issues. Leonard is still sitting there trying to get his car turned around. Now we've got the replay, and that was just straight-up driver error, Bill.
Yeah, and that's too bad. He was having a nice race. He was up in about 8th place there. So I love to listen to our director having technical problems. Only I get to hear what he has to say. He was saying, golly gee, I'm having technical problems. But there he goes.
Alex Bilal is on his lid. Alex Bilal is upside down.
Wow, and it looks like we have a lot that get caught up on now, Joe. I'm trying to figure out what caused it. It did look like he hit that curbing and just went for a ride.
No, he got tapped by Potts. Potts tapped him and sent him into the wall.
We're looking at the replay and seeing if we can, yeah, now it's coming into these S's here is where it went down. It looks like, once again, he was just a little bit slow. Potts did not expect it, got into the back of him, and he just got a weird bit of that wall, and we would call that a glitch in sim racing.
Yeah, well, these cars are tougher than an SAT exam, but I don't think he's going to be able to come back from that one.
No, that's pretty clear. His day is done as we watch Santos try to overtake Potts and does it cleanly into turn 12.
That was a real good pass
for
Santos.
Yeah, don't give up the ghost yet there. He's coming back on him.
Yeah, he's making an attempt, but it's very difficult. It is possible through this little twisty section. You can maybe lull someone into a false sense of safety and sneak it in there, but Potts gets some wheel spin and loses a ton of ground now into the stadium section.
Yeah, this is a very interesting section of the track, Joe. It's actually one of the lowest portions of the track, and these last couple of corners where we've seen a couple of spins already are a little bit off camber, so it's really easy to get your weight and shifted over to the wrong side of the car than have that little spin. And I do believe that's what happened earlier with, I forget who the driver was now after seeing Alex Blau spin. But right now, you can definitely tell that's a problem spot on this track, turn 20 coming into this long straight.
And Scott Power just had an accident that we watched on replay that he is coming back from. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill.
I was just giving you the Mark Zeidler update now. He's made his way up to about 13th spot.
That's pretty impressive from 21st in the early laps after getting spun. And I think he was spun twice, wasn't he?
No, he just took a really, really, really long time. He did I wanted to mention he was really patient. He let the entire field go by before he pulled it back out on the track. It was some nice sportsmanship.
Well, as we watch Donnie Leonard try to make up ground after he also had a spin, let's touch on Wyatt Gooden just briefly, who is still leading, and he's
Dameron has looped it. I'm sorry, Chris. Joe, Chris Daimler's looped it while running second. He's off the track.
Interesting, because it doesn't look like he touched anything. Yeah, you can see on the replay, he just spins it, and oh, no, he does touch something after he spins it, trying to get the car turned around. That's a bit of an embarrassing error.
Oh, yeah. He just drove it straight into the wall there.
Well, this is going to promote Leandro Schmidt up into second, but he has a long way up to Wyatt Gooden. Last time by the line, it was about 7 seconds, and it's probably more than that at this point. We're getting word that it's about 8.2 seconds between Gooden and Schmidt, Brian.
Yeah, and I was just trying to figure out what is going on here, but I'm a little confused with all the spinning and accidents we've seen so early in this race, only on lap 5, I believe. Not really what I was expecting after watching this whole season of intense, clean driving. So it's a little uncharacteristic for this event.
Yeah, we're watching that replay of Derek Waller tipping Mark Robertson, and he must have gotten some damage on his suspension because he gave up the ghost as well.
Joe, we were just talking to the series managers how great this series, how clean they guys have been all season. I think it's the last race. I think they're just they're having some fun today.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. We are back on Kyle Potts, who is having a heck of a battle with Daniel Santos, and that is for 3rd and 4th, the final podium spot that these guys are duking it out for.
Yeah, and Kyle Potts, I'm really impressed with his drive today. He's been very aggressive and not really letting Santos go. And you can just see and really appreciate how technical his track is with the cars going left and right and shifting that weight around. Just barely coming from Santos, just barely missing that little yellow spot on the track. Those are those nasty bumps I told you about earlier on coming through turn 10. Both drivers go just a little bit wide, but keep all 4 tires on the black stuff. I just really impressed. Kyle Potts has been showing some good pace today, and I won't be surprised if he passes Santos coming up pretty shortly.
Well, he's going to have to draft down the backstretch. This is what we were talking about earlier, that's going to keep guys in contention if they're close in pace through the rest of the course. And it looks like Potts doesn't quite have enough of a draft, though. He's closing in. Now he's starting to reel him in. It's going to be a long lunge if he's going to try and pass him down into 12. He takes a look. Now they're getting into the braking zone. He tries and just can't quite get it there. Santos gives him just enough room, but he's on the right side of the track, which is going to give him the inside, and now they slot into line down into the stadium section.
Yeah, Kyle Potts taking a leap of faith there. I don't think he thought in his own confidence that he would get that corner, but you don't get it if you don't try. So it was an aggressive move. Luckily, he was able to keep up with Santos and not spin him. That was some good sportsmanship driving, and Kyle Potts, I think he has the momentum going. He just has to wait for the right
we've got
moment.
An accident going on that we're seeing on screen. Joseph Anderson and Mark Zeidler got together. I was just about to comment on that as we had switched to them. We're watching the replay of that now. Just ahead of them, the orange car was Eminem, who we had mentioned earlier, and has worked his way up into 7th himself. Impressive stuff.
Zeidler has not given up. He got right back on the gas. He got by around McKenzie again. Zeidler had worked his way up now inside the top 10, and it looks like what was that Malone going into the pits there.
No, that's Joseph Anderson. Malone, however, just looped it.
Let's move Zeidler up into 7th. I love Mark Zeidler. He was going through his cars so fast that we couldn't even get it on the screen.
Yes, this is a great drive from Zeidler, and not one that we are unused to, that's for sure. He still has Craig McKenzie behind him, though, sitting in 8th, and this is a great race for Craig. Craig's not usually one of the top guys here, usually kind of a mid-pack runner, but 8th is nothing to scoff at here.
Not at all, and right now with all the cars spinning and having incidents, 8th place must feel like a dream come true because that means he hasn't had any mistakes yet. And right now, Craig McKenzie, like you said, not really known to be a front runner in the series that we've covered, is looking very good today. He's been very consistent and hasn't really pushed the issue too much, and that's really paying off now as he's climbing up the rankings in this race. Right now, currently in 8th as we come down into, I believe that's turn 11 into that hairpin, and now he has a good chance to go after Mark Zeidler. So, yeah, Joe, like you said, a good run today from Craig McKenzie.
Well, as we continue to watch Craig McKenzie try to hunt him down, just a quick update. Clint Myers is out of this race. Alex Bilal is out of this race. Scott Power, Lee McGovern, and Chris Damron Jr. are all already out of this race, and Mark Robertson is sitting in the pits getting repairs. So, wow, this is not what we're used to seeing in this series. This many cars out this early on.
Dameron and Bilal are big names, so you see those guys in the top 5. And Zeidler's taking care of all the low-hanging fruit right now. He's got next on his list is Derek Waller, but he's got about 6 seconds to go catch him.
Meanwhile, we watch Kyle Potts trying to work his way around Daniel Santos. We were watching that battle earlier on as Potts tried to put a move on him but couldn't quite make it happen. He is going to come up to the backstretch once again very soon. Or no, I'm sorry, they're on the front stretch actually as we watch them complete yet another lap. Again, this is a 45-minute race and we have 30 minutes left to go, so now we are getting into the pit stop window. It'll be interesting to see who decides to go when as they work their way down the hill out of turn 1 into the S's.
Absolutely, Joe, and just kind of keeping an eye on some of the guys that spun earlier in the race. Matthew Thill in that number 54 BMW went all the way back to 22nd place at one point and is now in 15th due to the attrition and some of the accidents on track. So right now, Matthew Thill even just took 14th place from Joseph Anderson on the live timing board, is having a good run today. And I wouldn't be surprised if after the pit window he catches some of that time up and can find his way back up into the top 10. It's a big order to fill, but I think Matt Thill has it in himself today to do that.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that in the past has had to charge through the field, so we know he can do it. Right now, he's got John LaBaffe ahead of him by just a few seconds. That's 13th that he's sitting in, so we'll try to relieve him of that spot as that metal designed car is going to work its way through the field, hopefully, and around the backstretch very soon.
We saw Joseph Anderson dash into the pits. He's still sitting there. I'm not sure if he's even going to continue. We have Anderson, Robertson, Dameron, McGovern, Power, Bilal, and Myers are all out. That attrition is so not typical of what this series has given us all season long.
Well, I think it's a combination of things, Bill. It seems like this really is a difficult track, especially for passing opportunities. We did touch on it, that some of these really tight corners make it tough to see where your competitor is unless you have 3 screens. So I think it's catching a few guys out, both the technical portions of this circuit and really blind passing zones.
You know, and you follow that up off the track in Brazil that we were at last week, which really isn't that passing friendly either. It could be that these guys have just ran out of patience.
Could be. Just to give you a rundown, now that we're a third of the way through the race, top 5, Wyatt Gooden currently sits in the lead. Leandro Schmidt following by 9 seconds. Not looking good for him to try and take that championship away. It looks like there was a spin with George Fike on the final corner there. We're going to watch the replay of that. Daniel Santos is sitting in 3rd, Kyle Potts is in 4th, and Logan Knapp is up in 5th. As there you can see half a spin from that was excuse me, I was trying to remember who we were just talking about there.
George Fike. Jordy Fike. Now, you know, Joe, one of the things we've been watching these BMWs all season, I think one of the characteristics that these cars have is it's tough to get the power down coming out of a turn. A lot of times these drivers will loop it, you know, because they'll lose traction in the back. They loop it back to the inside a lot of times.
Yeah, it seems like a common theme. We're currently sitting on board with Kyle Potts. We'll see how he handles the heavy braking and slow traction zones as they come down to the end of the backstretch here. You can see that draft starting to pull him in on Daniel Santos, still trying to get that 3rd position and not close enough to make anything happen. And this time, nice and clean, very smooth. And I think you'll see that more out of these more patient, clean, consistent drivers. Just nice, smooth inputs out of them.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about that as we're going through on the onboard feeder as we were, that this is such a typical Formula One track. Of course, that's what it was designed for, but it just seems like every time you get a chance to get a pass in the draft, it all gets broken up by a heavy braking zone, and everyone has to file back together. So Kyle Potts is, I'm not sure if frustrated though is the word for what he's probably feeling right now, but you can definitely tell that he's working hard and has the pace to get around Santos if he can just get the right timing. And a lot of passing in this track is setting it up and good timing. So it looks like Kyle Potts hasn't had the luck he's looking for quite yet, but you know, we still have a long ways to go in this race. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kyle Potts on the podium afterwards.
Well, let's hop back to Matthew Thill because he's still working his way through the field, trying to get that 13th position. Right now on the back of John LaBaffe, and they're coming through that long triple apexer right-hander towards the final portion of the circuit. He was taking a look in some of those slower corners. Let's see if he can do it possibly on the last one or maybe into turn 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough call for Matthew Thill. He has had a good run since that incident that he had earlier on in the race, and as you see, he actually had a little bit of momentum and had slowed down just to not get chopped by John LaBaffe. But, you know, Matthew Thill, I think he's going to get him here. He has a long ways to go, and he chooses the outside line, so that's probably not going to be inducive of a pass. Let's see what happens as he comes around. Will he make it to the inside? He will not. It looks like, whoa, he's going on the outside into this corner. He's going to try and push the issue a little bit. Matthew Thill being very aggressive to make those positions back, Joe.
Well, he's got nothing to lose. It's the final race, and he's trying to come back through the field and was just about stuck his nose on the inside of two there, but couldn't quite make it happen. I thought he was going to try the over-under, but couldn't quite make it work. LaBaff going very defensive everywhere possible through the S's, trying to hold off a charging Matthew Thill. Now they're coming up over this crest, now towards the hairpin that leads into the backstretch. Let's see if Thill tries something here, or if he decides to wait for that draft.
I would really hope that he tries to make the draft, as we see him go way wide once again to try and get that inside line. He jumps the curb just a little bit. That's a little bit dangerous in these cars. Very easy to spin him there, but that did give him quite a good run. Let's see if the draft will suck him in. He has a long ways to go before the braking zone, so he's probably going to try and go on the inside. But right now, a very tricky corner to try and pass that. And as we see him going inside, let's see what happens. He tucks back in. Isn't going to go for it, Joe.
Whoa, and I think he vastly outbraked himself into that corner, possibly didn't anticipate how much of a draft he was getting. Didn't lose too much time, interestingly. That might have scared LaBaff a bit as he saw him approaching very quickly, I'm sure, in his mirrors. But once again, back to where he was, and when I spotted him a lap ago, which is in this slow technical portion, and LaBaff goes completely off the circuit and comes back on. No harm, no foul with it being... Oh, and he actually hands the spot over. I think he... that's very good sportsmanship there, Bill. I think he conceded that he had exceeded the track limits, and there's no point in defending that one.
Yeah, and I was watching a great battle going on between Donnie Leonard and McKenzie there. They were battling about for 10th. Leonard has brought it into the pits, and just ahead of him is also coming in is George Fike. They were really going at it.
And we're looking at a replay of Craig McKenzie here, since we heard something happened to him earlier on. Not sure if we're getting it. This is coming around that hairpin corner at the end of the backstretch, and it looks like once again, just on the power too soon. A lot of guys just pushing these cars a little too hard.
And Zeidler has run down Waller now. He had about a 4 or 5 seconds lead. He's got him maybe a second behind now. It won't be long till Zeidler gets him.
Yeah, continuing to gain ground. You can see Zeidler in the red, white, and black car. Or I'm sorry, he's in the white-fronted car there as he is trying to hunt down the red. And we've got a spinner just in front of him. That's Logan Knapp, who's getting turned around that you can see.
Yeah, it's too bad. Logan was in the top 5, and that was a nice job for him. So give Waller and Zeidler another spot, and Zeidler's going to get Waller here pretty soon. I think that's a top 5 for Zeidler. I love Mark Zeidler.
And we're watching that replay. Poor Logan Knapp. He started in 11th. 5th place would have been quite a haul for him to have worked his way up. But we're now back on... now we're on Logan Knapp. Now we're on Zeidler. I was going to say, we were on Zeidler for a moment there, and he is trying his best to work his way around Waller, but Waller makes it easy and dives into the pits.
Yeah, now this is a very tricky pit road, believe it or not, Joe. It looks pretty straightforward from the track overview, but when you're driving it, almost blinded to an extent where you're just kind of looking up at the sky for a moment. So it's really easy to get the braking just wrong and miss it altogether. So those guys don't have it quite so easy diving out of the way at that kind of speed. That's a great job for, who was that? That was Derek Waller to make that pit stop so quickly like that.
And Joe, something we can watch now, since we're looking for things to keep an eye on. Waller and Zeidler were right next to each other. Waller went into the pits, so we'll see how that works out when Zeidler goes into the pits.
Yep, we'll have to see what kind of time these guys are doing as far as pit stops go, and the time penalty of going through the pits at pit speed. We are currently sitting on board with Daniel Santos still in 3rd position, and still with Kyle Potts behind him with 21 minutes left to go on the clock. We're starting to get down to the final portions of this race. Potts still holding on with that draft, but can't seem to make any inroads. This is a definite stalemate, something like we saw last week quite a bit, Bill.
Yeah, and again, it might come down to the pit stops as they come up. Should be any lap now, I think. If I yelled out Wyatt Goodman's crash, would that get you guys attention? I'm just teasing you. He is 10 seconds ahead of Leandro Smith and having a nice Sunday drive.
Yeah, continuing to extend that bit by bit. Whoa, and Kyle Potts got very close as we are still watching from on board, looking back under the spoiler of Santos. He was taking a lunge. I don't know if he just didn't expect Santos to be where he was or what, but he is very close at this moment. He's going to have some really good opportunities very soon if he can just keep on that bumper.
Yeah, I think Kyle Potts is definitely starting to get into Daniel Santos' head. It seems like Santos is starting to break earlier and starting to get off his line just a little bit. So you can definitely tell that he's getting tired of Kyle Potts being all over his bumper. And then Kyle Potts looks like he's going to go on the inside in the turn one up that giant hill. He's past the braking straight, and Kyle Potts made it look easy at that point. I'm almost thinking Santos has said, take it.
Yeah, he didn't even attempt the over-under. That could have just been Santos acknowledging that he does not have the pace, and maybe he's hoping to ride the coattails of Potts. We'll see if he can hold on. Already, though, Potts is starting to extend the gap bit by bit as, he gets very close to that little curb on the inside that you mentioned that these guys have to watch out for. That could definitely ruin a few days.
Well, it's ruined a couple of my days, Joe. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I know what you mean.
Let's go ahead and give Potts the tip of the hat there. Obviously, Potts was being held up by Santos because he's really putting him in his mirrors now. But he followed him for 20 minutes.
Yeah, for about 12 laps or so, because now we're on lap 13, and now that he's gotten by, wow, the gap has really gone. And actually, we are on Matt Thill at the moment, and he is trying to hunt down Derek Waller. So next in line is 10th position. If Thill can keep this up, going to crack the top 10 and still have time to try and run down a few more.
Well, I don't think Thill has pitted yet, and I think Waller has. So all you Matthew the Thill fans, hang on.
This is true. We were talking about Zeidler and Waller earlier, wanting to pay attention on when those guys are going to pit. Currently, Zeidler still sitting in 5th position, not having pitted, and just ahead of him is Joseph Anderson, who is a lapped car, so that is not for position. Farther up, though, was Kyle Potts. Now it's Daniel Santos sitting in the 4th position, and there is quite a bit of room between those guys, about 10 seconds it looks like between them.
Yeah, now I like Mark Zeidler a lot, but I'm not sure he has the speed to make.
Oh, especially when he makes contact like that. Just ran into the side of Joseph Anderson, and I think that was that wasn't really a dive. I'm trying to see. Anderson should have known he was there, I have to say.
Yeah, he had good position. Anderson turned down on him.
Yeah, and being a hard racer myself, I understand why that happened, but Joseph Anderson had a long time to kind of get out of the way. He's 2 laps down right now. Mark Zeidler can't be too happy about that contact, either way you look at it.
Yeah, let's hope that it didn't damage his suspension. But regardless, mistakes do happen, so it's the last race of the season. Joseph Anderson is allowed, I think, at least a few bogeys to have some hard racing here or there. Zeidler still trying to work his way through the field after early problems, having qualified in 3rd. This is a fair amount of work to get himself back into 5th, so you have to give him credit for that. Still hasn't made his pit stop, seems to be one of the guys aiming for the later stops. Now we are sitting with Daniel Santos, who is holding on to the back of Kyle Potts, but only just, not close enough to make anything happen, but he's riding those coattails.
Yeah, Potts had a great exit out of that last corner. Santos really seems to be faster into the corner, and Potts is faster out of the corner. I guess that's probably what you would expect.
Yeah, slow in, fast out is the theory, and Potts has been using it pretty well, although Santos is not really losing too much ground. Some of that might be flattered by the draft that he's picking up, and now you can see him absolutely drop through this technical portion where the draft isn't helping him as much, and he's going to have to work hard to try and hold on to that if he's hoping to try and keep pace. That might help him keep away from Mark Zeidler, who has been charging. Last lap around, Santos ran a 2:04.2, Zeidler a 2:02.5.
And they're both coming in.
So everybody is hitting the limit. We do have about 16 minutes left, so that makes sense. With Zeidler heading in, we were wondering to try and watch some of these guys a little bit farther back. That was Derek Waller that we were kind of curious as to where he would come out. Derek Waller currently coming through the stadium section, so let's keep half an eye on those guys.
Yeah, everybody came in. The leaders, Gooden and Smith, both came in. They had pit stops. So let's keep an eye on Waller, see where he comes out in relationship to Zeidler.
Now we are on Donnie Leonard, who's sitting in 13th, second to last in the cars who are on the lead lap, only followed by Lance Snyder, who's quite a ways back from him. And he's actually in a very nice battle with George Fike at the moment.
Potts and
Yeah.
Santos came out in the order they came in. Potts ahead.
Zeidler as well. However, Zeidler, look at Zeidler. He is right on the back, relatively right on the back of Santos. I don't know if we can get a wide shot to where we can see both cars. Just get a peek of him in the screen there and get a sense of how far. Yeah, there we go. You can see that he's closed significantly on the back of Santos after those pit stops.
Oh, I think that white and black BMW is going to be really thirsty come the end of the race.
Oh, is the conspiracy theorist there, Bill? But he's definitely making Santos sweat at this point.
I just don't think he took enough fuel. I just can't imagine how he could do that so quickly.
Well, regardless, he's going to give Santos a hard time coming onto the backstretch already. Look at how much he closed. And Santos actually moves over and gives him the position. Zeidler up into fourth.
Yeah, I noticed Zeidler coming through that turn 11, I guess we can call it a hairpin, barely even get on the brakes. He just flicked the lights a few times and just powered right through it. And I think that's exactly what Santos realized. There was no way he's holding him off, giving Mark Zeidler an easy pass. So that was a very impressive run through turn 11.
Let's jump back to Bruce Poole, and we're getting word that Santos is still slow, which is interesting. And I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. He's actually being caught by Derek Waller.
Yeah, if I didn't know better, I'd say he had a flat tire, but that can't be.
Well, I want to go back to Matthew Thill and Craig McKenzie, because those two have a great battle going on, and I believe this is heading down the backstretch that these guys are going side by side. Going to be an outbreaking contest. McKenzie in that green and white car, Phil in the gray car. Now as they come into the braking zone, McKenzie trying his best to get inside there. Phil gives him room, still side by side as Phil went very wide. He's going to have the inside into this next little hairpin corner. He's going to want to try and get this done as soon as he can, because he was trying to work on Bruce Poole, who you can see a bit ahead earlier on. McKenzie not giving up. He is a Rottweiler right now, just trying to grip onto the leg of Matthew Thill.
Yeah, that was a very impressive run from both drivers, but it looks like Matthew Phil is definitely the faster one in the group. So right now it looks like Phil's going to try and catch up to Matt Malone as we come out of the tricky section here to a little bit more faster area of the track, coming through 19 and 20. So I believe both of these drivers may have pitted. We're going to see a nice long draft and attempt for a pass in the turn 1.
Let's stay on these guys, but just a quick update. We're getting word that Santos did not take fuel. That must have been a big oops from him. And,
yeah, apparently the invisible fuel man could not get the invisible fuel can into the virtual fuel nozzle into the hole, and he had to come back in again.
Well, he's getting that done. Meanwhile, we're still watching this battle as they accordion up into turn 1. They're still back together. Now Bruce Poole is under threat from Phil, and he's trying to hold on to him through the S's, losing just a little bit of time. Everybody working their way through, using as much of the track as they can. Phil closes up once again, trying to get as close as he can to those big bumps on the insides of the apexes. Wow, they are getting very close. Whoa, and Bruce Poole might have taken just too much of a... Craig McKenzie takes advantage, takes one car. He's looking in another, trying to get on the inside of Poole into the hairpin. Is he going to outbrake him? Just gets by him, but he could be caught by the over-under. Poole has no answer. Phil still behind both of them. The one that seems to have lost the most, but Craig McKenzie, opportunistic, excellent heads-up racing.
Matt Phil set that corner up just right. He saw that Craig McKenzie was coming in hard, and he just got on the brakes so we can get a very early onto the accelerator, onto that long straight. It looks like it's going to pay off in dividends, as he might get both drivers here.
He's working hard. Craig McKenzie went wide. Phil is going side by side with him. We were watching the replay. Now we're back live. And Craig McKenzie has the inside, takes just a little bit too much curve. Phil can't do anything from there. He's going to have the inside of the next corner. He's trying to outbrake him as well as he can. Doesn't quite have it. McKenzie wide once again. Phil on the outside as they come to the next set of corners. Is he going to be able to hold on this time? Coming around the outside, he goes wide off into the AstroTurf. Craig McKenzie still side by side. Nobody wants to give in. It's going to switch back. This time, Phil finally gives up the ghost, and Poole trying to take a look, but nowhere to go, as finally they are single file as they head to the front stretch.
Oh, I thought those kids one of them was going to end up crying, and I was going to have to send him to their room. That was some nice racing.
Fantastic racing from everyone, and that was all kicked off by Bruce Poole taking just a little too much of that big inside bump coming at the exit of the S's. I was just talking about that, commentator's curse, and now they're going to hopefully, possibly do it all over again so we can get some more of this excitement as they head into the S's, Brian, once again.
Yeah, and just the thing that all started in turn 10, and think about this, Joe, this is a 20-turn track, so to work that hard and be that close to one another is a very good feat in just one lap in itself. I gotta say, Matthew Phil is definitely one of the smartest drivers on the field right now. He was setting each of these corners up just right, working the outsides of the left-handed turns so we get the insides and the right-handed turns, and vice versa. So right now, Matthew Phil, he's just doing everything he can to get around McKenzie as he cuts turn 10 just a little bit. He has the inside going down to turn 11 into the hairpin. He has the inside preferred line. He outbreaks Craig McKenzie, just barely gets past. Risk for the over-unders. Craig McKenzie might have a bigger run coming out of turn 11. He does not have it yet, but the draft in this long straight will be in his favor. Craig McKenzie looking as Matt Dill tries to break the draft. He cannot get away. McKenzie is glued to his bumper, but just has nowhere to go, Joe. What a crazy race we are witnessing right now.
I was going to say this is not over by a long shot, and look at Bruce Poole come sliding in from nowhere and almost gets by McKenzie. Can't quite get close enough. McKenzie trying to hold on to the back of Phil. This is for 11th, 12th, and 13th spots, and these guys are fighting like it's for the lead.
They're fighting like they're trying to win Monaco in the Formula One Grand Prix. This is definitely the most intense 11th place battle I've seen ever in my history of commentating, Joe.
Yeah, and now Phil has just a little bit of a break as they stretch out through this final portion. Craig McKenzie dropping off. I was going to say earlier that when Phil was passing him in that turn 11, that's going to come back to bite him, and it almost did, but Craig wasn't able to make it work. And that was all kicked off when, at least this time, when McKenzie went wide once again out of that turn at the final bit of the S's, and just took a little bit too much AstroTurf and did not get the acceleration, and that has cost him the 11th position, with which Phil has now claimed.
Just to do a little housekeeping there as you're looking at a replay on, or we're on Matt Malone. Daniel Santos is in 10th place after his second pit stop for fuel.
Oh man, that has hurt him dearly. I'm sure he's kicking himself inside there, possibly has the red mist down. But as we watch Logan Knapp and Matt Malone fight it out, now we're going to get a repeat as the draft is going to come into play. You can see both those cars are orange, but Malone is the trailing one with the black. Well, they're exactly identical, so that makes life lovely for us. Phil on the inside now as they come into turn 12, has the acceleration but breaks earlier, and Logan Knapp trying to hold him off on the outside. They touch, they come together. And Matt Malone is going to continue on as Logan Knapp gets his car straightened out.
Matt just gave him I'm sorry over the mic.
Yeah, he's. I know that Matt is usually a very good driver. He doesn't like to fight dirty like that, so that was definitely unintentional. At least it was only one position for Knapp, but they still got Donnie Leonard behind them sitting and trying to reel him in. And I don't think he cares whose fault it was. He just wants that position from Knapp.
And just to keep touch on the Mark Zeidler watch, he is now in 4th place. He's got 4 seconds back of Kyle Potts. Not sure if he's going to have enough to get to Potts in 3rd.
Last lap, Kyle Potts ran a 2:02.8 and Mark Zeidler ran a 2:02.6, so he was running slightly faster last time by. We'll have to keep an eye on those lap times and see how that goes. We are continuing, however, to watch Matt Malone lead that train of cars around the tall hill of turn 1 and now down to the S's, and it looks like there's a pass going on behind him.
Yeah, that's Donnie Leonard in the banana flavored car. Come on, Donnie, get that position. I'm not pulling against Logan Knapp, but I like to see passing.
There is always passing in the banana flavored car, as they say, and Logan Knapp is going to have to work hard to keep Donnie Leonard behind as he's working very hard to get past that orange car.
And of course, if Leonard were to get by, which he's going to do right now, I think. Now I'm going to pull for.
Oh, it's so tight.
Oh, God!
Oh! Logan, that's sorry.
Logan Knapp. Oof, that is a hard place to go 2 by 2. As we watched the replay, I was kind of wondering, they were getting oh so tight. I think it was just an unfortunate timing Yep, just a bit of phantom contact actually too as well, and an overcorrection from Logan Knapp sends him straight into the Armco.
If we took all the accidents we've had today, I bet you they would outdo the sum of all the races from the season, of the
I was
previous
just gonna
7 races.
I figured that's where you were going with that. I think I agree. This is the most I've ever seen. Alex Bilal is actually interesting, letting Mark Zeidler by as he's being lapped actually right now, and we're watching Fike closing on Leonard right as we speak.
Yeah, George Fike, we haven't really talked a whole lot about him since there's been so much action on the track, but he's just been kind of quietly motoring around back here in 9th place, and now making a move on Donnie Leonard, who had that good battle just moments ago. I think George Fike is in good position for where he's at in the series, and of course a top 10 finish is definitely nothing to scoff at a track like Circuit of the Americas.
Oh yeah, George Fike is doing fantastic today. We've seen him in other series such as the MX-5 World Tour, where he usually isn't as high up, but right now sitting in 8th and actually challenging for 7th with Donnie Leonard in front of him. You got to give George Fike some credit, Bill.
Absolutely, and you know, Matthew Thill started in last place. He's up to 11th, which sounds, oh, careful there as I'm watching a battle there with Poole and McKenzie in the back. Phil is up to 13th position, which is great, except he's only ahead of actually 2 cars, I think, that are actually running right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are out at this point, although there's quite a few more that are laps down at this point. So as we watch this battle between Bruce Poole and Matthew Thill and Craig McKenzie, there's still guys behind them. So it's not. They're not the tail end of it, but right now, Craig McKenzie, this is the battle we were seeing earlier between these guys, still going on with actually 3 minutes left to go. So we're down to the end of this thing, and look at Bruce Poole coming right up and sweeping around the outside through the S's, making it happen before he even gets to the straight, but he doesn't get a good exit. Look at McKenzie right on the back of him. He doesn't try to challenge into that fast left-hander downhill into the hairpin. He knows that he's got to wait, he's got to have patience, and he's going to get the draft and a better opportunity down the back stretch into 12.
Looked like Craig McKenzie didn't have a very clean exit though to turn 11. That won't hurt him too much in the draft right now, but you gotta get those moments. It's the dying moments of the race. You can't be making those little mistakes if they want to make those passes. And right now Matt Phil's closing in as well, so Craig McKenzie has to make a move here if he wants to fight off Matt Phil, I would believe.
Yeah, and he's actually going to get an opportunity because Bruce Poole outbreaks himself, and just behind them, Phil takes a look but doesn't get anything that he can take advantage of there. As Bruce Poole covers the inside through the next hairpin, McKenzie has to slot back into line.
Yeah, McKenzie putting on a good show right now. Go ahead, Bill.
And let's give a tip of the hat to Alex Bilal. He's back out there running 7 laps down, but that's nice for a champion, a top runner to go ahead and finish out the race.
Never give up, never say die. Alex Bilal going by that motto right now, and he's certainly, I agree, I have to give him a lot of credit for getting back out there and just keep running laps. Meanwhile, up at the front with 2 minutes left to go, Wyatt Gooden is still leading as we watch this battle between McKenzie, and now we switched over to Gooden as well, who's got an 18-second lead right now over Schmidt. I think it's going to take catastrophe for Schmidt to take this one from Gooden.
Yeah, this for those watching. Wyatt Gooden is still in the race, and he is, man. He's what they call in NASCAR stinking up the show. That's a nice job.
He's a Sebastian Vettel at the moment,
yeah.
Circa 2011 or 2013, that's for sure. But we're still back on this battle since we got a little bit of time left, with Bruce Poole just ahead of Craig McKenzie. McKenzie's been trying everything to get by, and it seems like a very ebb and flow battle between these guys. Someone makes a mistake, gets back in the clutches, and the guy ahead makes a mistake then, and it starts all over again.
Yeah, and I believe Craig McKenzie's in the scary seat, I guess you can call it, because it seems like every time Bruce Poole makes a mistake, he has to check up, and then he has Matt Phil pouncing right on the back of him. So right now, Craig McKenzie has to make a move. If he, like I said earlier, in these drafting sections of the track, if he doesn't make this pass here, he's running out of time, and Matt Phil might try and pounce and take both of them at once. So it's definitely a very tense moment here in the dying seconds of the race.
Yeah,
and we might be on the white flag here as Wyatt Gooden heads into the hairpin, the first hairpin, or second hairpin, actually, I should say, that heads onto the backstretch. We've got 40-some-odd seconds left to go, and I don't think he's going to be able to complete another lap after this.
Well, that's good for George Fike because George Fike is in 8th right now. He is pestering Donnie Leonard. If he had maybe one more lap, I think he could get him.
Yeah, he's certainly trying. He is going to get that one more lap because Wyatt Gooden just came around turn 12. And with 20 seconds to go, yes, we should definitely be getting the checkered flag this time by. So Wyatt Gooden, only a few more corners to go. It looks like the championship is quite solidly his after a dominant performance all season. He's won, let's see, was it all but a single race?
Where he ran out of gas.
Exactly. So I agree. It'd be a travesty if he didn't win this championship. Just immaculate the whole way through. It was only once that he really made a serious mistake that cost him a win. Every other time he was able to bounce back or defend. Right now, coming through that final corner, we're getting that checkered flag. Wyatt Gooden takes the win, takes the championship in the DIYSim.com Z4 Challenge.
Leandro Schmidt's going to get a nice, easy second place, and Kyle Potts is going to get third to round out the podium.
And look, as Leandro Schmidt takes second easily, it's more interesting to watch this battle between Fike and Leonard. This is for 7th and 8th between these guys, and Fike has dropped back down the backstretch. He's not going to get many opportunities after this one because it's all slow and technical from here on out.
Joe, I need to jump in. We are finishing up the race here, and it looks like Matt Thill just overtook Craig McKenzie going into turn 11. McKenzie goes down the inside, though, as he jumps over the curb. He takes that position right back. They did lose a lot of time to Bruce Poole, though, however. Matt Phil's definitely a hornet right now as he's going to try and now draft him down here into turn 12, where that'll be probably his last chance to make a pass over Craig McKenzie.
Yeah, he's pulling in on him, and he actually backs out of it, coming down the backstretch and lifts and tries to outbrake him coming into 12. Is he going to go wide? They go side by side through there. Phil's going to be on the wrong side, and he gets on the power too soon and loses all that hard work.
Yeah, I got to say, Joe, while you were talking... Excuse me, sorry about that. I had someone talking in my ear. I just got to say, Craig McKenzie here is putting on a clinic. He had several chances to pass Bruce Poole up ahead and just backed out because he didn't think he would make a clean pass. So you got to give it to Craig McKenzie for fighting so hard, but remembering to stay clean and race on the driver's code of just making sure you get to the finish. And you got to give Craig McKenzie a ton of credit as he spins now. Excuse me, as I give him the commentator's curse and lets Matt Thill by. Not the way he wanted to finish the race now. Is also Lance Snyder's going to get the pass. Not the way he wanted to finish a good effort.
He almost got a position from Daniel Santos, who was creeping across the line, interestingly. I don't know if he ran out of gas or what, but it was 3/10 between those two.
Brian,
so Phil almost got into the top 10 there.
Did McKenzie just do the opposite of what you were just saying?
That just goes to show it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and McKenzie lost his focus for that crucial moment up until the end. It looks like we've got everybody across the line now, so we are going to go to break. This is the last race. We'll try to get as many interviews as we can in. Don't go away. We'll get you the unofficial results after this.
Welcome to DIYSim.com, your source for your entire do-it-yourself simulator building experience. Whether your goal is to build a full-motion flight simulation cockpit with all 6 degrees of freedom, or find plans to build a full-motion racing simulation cockpit with anywhere from 1 degree of freedom all the way up to 6, DIY Sim has the products, plans, and resources to help you make it happen. Our DIY Sim brand is backed by one of the most innovative sim-building organizations in the world. Simcraft creates driver, in-the-loop simulators with proper kinetics for motion simulation, a technology that is unique to Simcraft and which accurately recreates high-speed vehicle dynamics. Simcraft simulator systems enable drivers to develop and enhance their car control skills efficiently and effectively, any track, any car, any day, all day. DIYSim.com has it all. Please start and finish your sim building experiences with us.
Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas, where we just witnessed the final round in the DIYSim.com Z4 Challenge. Wyatt Gooden came home not only with the win, but sealed his championship with his 7th win out of 8 races. Impressive stuff. He wins $40 for the championship from DIYSim.com. Leandro Schmidt came home second in the race and in the championship. He gets $30 for his second place finish in the championship. Kyle Potts finished in third this race. Mark Zeidler, after once again comes back through the field, finishes fourth after getting tipped in the very first corner. Derek Waller finishes in fifth. Matt Malone takes sixth. Donnie Leonard finishes seventh. George Fike in eighth. Bruce Poole in ninth. And then rounding out the top 10 is Daniel Santos, Brian.
In 11th, Matthew Thill with a heck of a run there at the end. A good race from Matthew Thill. On 12th, we had Lance Snyder. And 13th, Craig McKenzie. 14th was John LaBaff. And 15th, we had Logan Knapp, had an unfortunate spin in turn 10. And 16th was Joseph Anderson. And 17th was Mark Robertson. 18th, Alex Blau, who ended up on his hood earlier in the race. 19th, we had Chris Dameron Jr. 20th was Scott Power. And Lee McGovern comes in 21st. Clint Myers 22nd, Anderson Moda I did not believe raced, and Patrick Wynn also did not do any laps. So that rounds out our field there, Joe.
And Bilal should take home the the third place position in the championship. And this is all unofficial at this point until the stewards go and make sure that they approve of everything that happened. But Bilal should get $20 for his third place finish. We do have some people to talk to. First of all, we want to talk to our championship winner, and that is Wyatt Gooden. Wyatt, 7 out of 8 races, very Vettel-esque. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good challenge too, that last race.
You started on pole on this one, and right on that first lap, you started to put that gap in your pocket and didn't look back the entire time. Were you pushing, or once you had a little bit of leeway, did you kind of cruise yourself to the finish?
Yeah, I kind of went a bit early on the start there. I didn't expect to catch everyone off guard so much, but usually, once the pace car comes in, then the green flag waves, so I figured it would wave early. But I've actually never done an official race here. But anyway, throughout the race, I was just trying to push, man, the whole race. Just that was keeping me into it, I guess, keeping me focused.
Well, I know with real world racing, $40 probably isn't huge, but it's still a nice little tuck in your pocket after the season. Once again, congratulations and amazing job, absolutely dominating this season.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and really, really good job on the broadcast too. VSRA, DIY Sim, all these guys put together a really fun league. I had a blast too, so hopefully I'll see you around here next season.
We hope so too. Next up, we are going to talk to Mark Zeidler. And Mark, as we said, finished 4th today. And I believe Bill is going to ask him a few questions.
Mark, I got to fess up, man. I have a man crush on you. That was, you are the most exciting driver. I picked you to win, but I figured this was even better. Tell me about your race.
I don't know if it was better, but hey, you know what? After I got hit in the first corner, I kind of contemplated my life a little bit there. And I just took off and figured I'd run through the pack and see what I could do, have some fun. And actually, you know what? I was really pleasantly surprised with the racing back in the pack. They had really good pace. It just seemed like, maybe they made a little more mistakes where you could sneak past them.
Yeah, and you were going through them, and then you had another little issue. Who was that with? I can't remember that you managed to avoid, and you got all the way up to 3rd place.
4th, yeah. But,
4th, sorry.
Yeah, I know. I kind of was trying to go for a risky pass there, and I got the door slammed on me. But I think we both got out of there fairly clean.
They're talking about another season. I can't imagine you not enjoying this series. I thought it was spectacular. If your time schedule allows, you're going to try to do this again?
Yeah, definitely. I had a great time. It didn't always go my way, but it was still fun and interesting, and kept me coming back wanting more. Great group of guys out there.
Well, congratulations on 4th place. Congratulations on the whole series. Congratulations on putting on a great show for us, and we'll see you next season.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Back to you, Joe.
We do have Kyle Potts, our final podium spot finisher, and Brian is going to talk to him.
Well, Kyle, I want to say congratulations on 3rd place. It was a very challenging day for a lot of people. Tell us, how did the track feel today?
The track was actually really good. I think Texas would be pretty warm out, but no. Track was fantastic. Had lots of grip out there. It was good. Definitely good.
Yeah, you definitely showed off the amount of grip and skill the front of the pack had today. You had that battle with, I believe it was Mr. Santos, Daniel Santos, and you seemed like you were keeping with him for a long time, and then finally got a pass. And tell us what happened on those first about 15 laps.
Well, I was trying to take it easy in the first corner because we had a practice race in this track before the start of the season, and that was pretty bad up there. So I was hoping not to get any contact there and just keep it clean. And I don't know, me and Alex there got together pretty hard. I don't know. That was just a lapse on my part. I really apologize for that one. But other than that, it was pretty. I'm glad we had a battle. It was really fun, man. It was really good. It sucked that I hit a couple people, but
Well, contact's part of racing, especially at a track as technical and narrow as this one could be at times. I'm gonna have to say again, congratulations on third. It's definitely a feat at Circuit of the Americas with the caliber of drivers here in the series. Thank you, Kyle, for coming down and talk to us. We'll see you next season.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Up next, we have Logan Knapp. And Logan, you were having a fantastic battle there in mid-race, and it was sad to see it go sour towards the end. What were your thoughts leading up to that contact?
Oh, well, up until both those incidents, I guess, it was just something I've been learning all in the past week, just in the open GT3 lobbies, is just keep my nose clean and stay consistent, which how I came to end up in 5th for a while, but then just kind of started to fall apart from there. So I don't know. I mean, it's I would say both more so racing incidents. The first one, thought that Matt had pulled back a little bit, so that's where I turned in, but apparently he must have lifted off the brake or something to catch me there. And I mean, I didn't look at the replay on the one with Donnie, but I'm assuming he must have just bounced off the curb into me. And then just frustrated by myself and spun on my own twice.
Yeah, it's understandable, especially after being potentially so high up in the finishing order. A lot of drivers last week mentioned that it was a bit slippery with the temperatures. It was a lot cooler at this track today, unusual for Texas. So was it, was it grippier and a little bit easier to drive today?
For the most part, definitely. I'm always terrible on tracks that are hotter weather, especially like Brazil. But today it didn't really feel that terrible. It's just this is a track that I have very little time on, so I was very much over driving the car, and I just roasted the rear tires off of it, I think. But if I had spent more time on it and stayed a smoother line, I think it would have been fairly okay.
Well, commiserations on that, and thanks for coming and talking to us. We hope to see you next season.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Up next, we've got Matt Malone with some questions from Bill.
Matt, I don't know if you realize the race was so exciting and so eventful. Looking at my clipboard here, through the chicken scratches, I can see this circled Matt Malone sandbagging with a 14th. Pretty low start for you. Did you have a bad qualifying before we talk about your race?
Yeah, I didn't do the best. I think I left at least like half a second out there, but man, this track just doesn't really suit my driving skills.
Well, I think from my calculations, I think you're going to get a couple bucks for the Hard Charger Award, I would think. 6th place, pretty exciting. How was your race?
Oh, man. There's a lot of issues around me, but that didn't really involve me, which were nice. So I was just kind of a spectator out there, really. There's some stuff happening in front of me, stuff happening behind me. I did get into a little issue on lap 18. I forget who it was, but we got into each other on one of the hairpins. But other than that, yeah, I was just kind of racing out there. Didn't have any damage like the last race, so that was good.
Before I let you go, just to get your, there was so much incidents in this one. Do you think it was just driver attitude for the last race of the season, or was the track conducive to that kind of race?
It could be a combination of both, because this is kind of like a track, kind of like Spa, where you can just get a bunch of incidences here and there, left and right. You know, you go, there's so much runoff, and you think you can use it, and then it gets you that one X. But it's probably because it's the last race, and everyone wants to do really well, and they're pushing really hard. That probably played a big part of it too. But yeah, I've seen a lot of incidents out there. I racked them up quite a few myself, just for the 1 and 2 off tracks here and there. You know.
Well, Eminem, they're talking another season of this. We certainly hope to see you back when they run this again, and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, you guys did a great job, and yeah, next season will be my 4th season with these guys, so yeah, it's a lot of fun, so I'm on board.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hey, Joe, back to you. Just what you talked about earlier. He compared this to Spa as well.
Yeah. And finally for today, for our interviews, we have Matthew Thill, one of the league organizers. And Matthew, I have to say, with this being the last race of the season, I want to thank you on behalf of GSRC for getting us involved, because even though one driver won 7 out of 8 races, we still have had a hell of a time up in the booth every single time. So you've put together an awesome league.
I appreciate it, guys. We certainly like the fact that you guys are go-to broadcasters. You do a great job for us. Season was great. Yes, we've had some fast guys that have dominated the entire series, but I think that makes all of us better. and we're glad to have them in the league. We thrive on that sense of community, and I really want to and the guys like Craig McKenzie, Joe Anderson, Matt Malone, Donnie Leonard, and John LaBaff, who never finished on the podium all season long, they finished in the top 10 in points for the entire championship, which under the new VSRA format, each of these guys has a chance for race rewards moving forward in our next upcoming season. So guys like that are the mainstays for our community, and we're excited to have them because without everybody in our league, not a community, it's just guys racing against each other. And I think what we do have is a great sense of community.
It certainly shows through in the racing. I know that this was a bit of an unusual race with the incidents, but the community shows through normally with the incredibly clean racing. Now, I know you can't give away everything because you haven't decided on it yet, but I think we can get a sneak peek as far as what are some of the cars you're considering for next season?
Yes, we've got a very short list, stemming from the Corvette to the Daytona prototype. There's the Optima is in there. Also have a potential choice of the Skip Barber car, and last but not least was a chance we were going to do something like mixed class, but that's probably not going to be the case just because of utilizing the cars. But had some great racing in the past in the Cadillac. The other option is the Dallara, but a little too fast for this community, so we might shy away from it.
Understandable. Once again, thank you so much for bringing us on, and congratulations on a great season.
Thanks, guys. We've got to definitely thank DIY Sim for coming on board for the sponsorship for the season. DIY Sim launches at the end of July, and it's go to build your sim. That's the next thing.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to close up today, and as we thank a few people, obviously, even though we just thank them, we can't thank them enough because they make this league happen. DIYsim.com. Go give them a look, the official sponsor of the Z4 Challenge. Also, thanks once again to Matt, Phil, and Scott Power, the organizers. Thank you to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. They are the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Also, thanks to the team today, Kevin, Brian, and Bill. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Thanks goes out to Dougie Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing channel. And a special thank you to Eric Ekholm, whose music is not only found here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Additional thanks to Casey Lalonde, who also provides us with the music for our broadcast. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next broadcast is the ASRS at Iowa. That's Wednesday this week, July 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then, of course, Friday, we go to the Super Speedway Series at Talladega, Friday, July 11th at 10 p.m. Eastern. And the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series comes back this week at Watkins Glen, Saturday, July 12th at 10:30 UTC. Then, of course, there's the Champion Motorsports, at Zolder, Wednesday, July 16th at 9:45 Eastern. And then finally, the Northwest Majors goes to Indianapolis for their Brickyard 400, Sunday, July 20th at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.